When it comes to rivalries in the modern NBA, they're few and far between. But as fans do, we gas things up and inflate things to unreasonable heights. Case in point, Jokic vs. Embiid. As this so-called rivalry really isn't a rivalry by traditional standards. As on the court when both these guys play, there aren't really many iconic moments, iconic games with them going head to head. This rivalry more so about these two guys and who should win MVP. As the better part of the past decade, either Jokic or Embiid has been a frontrunner to win that award. And of course Embiid last year did win MVP over Jokic and Giannis, although myself and many thought Embiid wasn't the rightful winner because of one major reason. That reason being, he ducked Jokic in Denver for the 4th straight season.
Oh, the Sunshine State. On Denver. Gorgeous.
If you're truly an MVP player, a superstar, one of the top 5 guys in the NBA, ducking one of your contemporaries on their home court is unacceptable. And what makes it worse, Embiid vs. Jokic in Philadelphia, he's more than happy to suit up for that matchup. But for some odd reason, playing in Denver, playing away versus Jokic, he just craps his pants and doesn't know what to do. And look, if this is a one-time thing, happened once, twice, maybe even 3 times, I'd give him a pass. But the last time Embiid played in Denver was November of the 2019 season. That's simply inexcusable. And watching the pregame crew for this game, Philly vs. Denver, Stephen A. Smith, Bob Myers, were making countless excuses for Embiid not playing in Denver.
Well, when it comes to him, I'm certainly not going to bring up load management or anything like that. This guy has a history of being injured. If the medical staff notices something, we have to attach a level of seriousness to that, more so than with typical players in the National Basketball Association.
No, look, fine, smart, in all honesty, as much as I wanted to see these two guys, like everybody did, play against each other. If the medical staff sees something, it's the regular season halfway through.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
Watching those clips, I'm just sitting here with my jaw on the floor. Did any of those guys have the balls to call out Joel Embiid for his antics and constantly ducking Jokic in Denver? And Stephen A. Smith, the self-proclaimed most fearless voice in sports, all of a sudden is tucking his tail, not calling out Joel Embiid for his antics. And look, I'll cut Stephen A. some slack, because out of that pregame crew, Stephen A. actually didn't have the worst take about Jokic versus Embiid, as the worst take award goes to Bob Myers, the quote-unquote mastermind of the Warriors dynasty.
Sometimes I look at it simply as if it was a Game 7 in the NBA Finals right now, and we each got to pick a center. I'm taking Embiid first. As crazy as it is, I love Jokic. Wow. I love Jokic, but
So do I.
Embiid is the most physically dominant player in the NBA right now.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
What ESPN is selling us that Bob Myers is just the pinnacle of basketball knowledge, one of the smartest human beings about this game. And maybe at one point this guy was a basketball genius. But in 2024, I don't know if he's smoking crack, started snorting blow, but this guy, something happened because this take is certifiably insane. Jokic in Game 7s, which had 4 of in his career, averaged 24 points, 16 boards, 7 assists, 2.5 blocks on 42% shooting. Out of those 4 games, twice had a triple-double, 2 times by winning Game 7, capped off a 3-1 comeback, and once versus Utah had a game winner for that Game 7. Now looking at Joel, his Game 7 resume, he's had 3 of those in his career, 22 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 2 blocks on sub-40 shooting. Joel Embiid in Game 7s is 0-3 for his career, and all 3 times for the entire series blew a 3-2 lead in the process of losing that Game 7. Bob Myers having this take in 2024 after last year's playoffs where in a Game 7, Embiid scored 15 points to Tatum's 50 is simply embarrassing.
I'm actually embarrassed for you.
And looking past Bob Myers and his lunacy, Embiid for this game versus Denver, leading up to the game, wasn't listed as injured, questionable, and there were no signs he was hurt heading into this matchup. It wasn't until Maxey and Tobias Harris, they were listed as out, that it was confirmed Embiid was not playing. So either one, Embiid from the jump wasn't playing, was ducking Jokic the entire time, or two, in the pregame warm-ups decided, I'm not playing, my two best teammates are out. Whichever option you pick, it's weak regardless. And to kind of contrast Jokic versus Embiid, the mentality of a great player versus an all-time great player, Jokic in 2022 in Philadelphia, minus Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, played versus Embiid, and actually beat him in the process. Is it too much to ask Joel Embiid to play once every 5 years in Denver? And from the NBA's perspective, Adam Silver's perspective, selling this game as a rivalry game, this whole week as rivalry week, it gets completely undermined when one of these so-called rivals refuses to play on the other rival's home court. And regarding this year's MVP, look, Joel so far has had a great season. But my overall theory, my thinking, is that Embiid deep down desperately doesn't want this MVP and doesn't want back-to-back MVPs with no championships. And to give my 2 cents on it, what I think Joel's actually doing, he is sitting out games to disqualify himself from winning the award. Because of course last year, winning the MVP brought tons of pressure, media attention, and fan criticism. And of course, versus Boston in Game 7, all that pressure broke him mentally. If Embiid somehow won back-to-back MVPs and failed to make the NBA Finals, he would get critiqued till the end of time. That's why Joel, on purpose now, is punting on the MVP and sitting out crucial games to not win the award.
He's out of line, but he's right.
And one last thing I want to do, looking at that NBA pregame crew one last time, the excuses they made for Joel Embiid were incomprehensible. Arguing Joel Embiid somehow is preserving himself for the playoffs by sitting out this one game is idiotic. I mean, look at last year in 2023, as clear-cut proof that theory is complete and utter nonsense. As leading up to that game in Denver versus the Warriors, he scored 46, and 2 days prior, played 32 minutes versus the Suns with no sign or report of injuries. The only game he missed was in Denver. And the kicker is, after sitting out that game, immediately the following game, he played, and for the next 5 games, played very well, including versus Boston, where he dropped 50. The BS with Embiid is just too much to handle. Him sitting out games, being a playoff choker, at this point, he's just not one of these guys, and he's not built for it. And here's some free advice to Joel and Philadelphia's staff. After sitting out this game versus Denver, with a so-called injury, obviously faking it, ducking Jokic, for the next 3-4 games, just sit out and don't play. And why you do that is for good optics. Because of course, we know you're ducking Jokic, but at the very least, make it appear like you're still injured and battling some injury. And in case you guys weren't aware, leading up to this 2024 matchup, just like 2023, Embiid was playing fantastic and playing nearly every game. And in 6 straight games, had dropped 30 plus points, including 70 versus the Spurs. If you can play big minutes versus bottom-feeding teams, some of the worst teams in the NBA, hunt for 70 late in the 4th quarter. Why can't you do that versus Denver in Denver? Again, the simple explanation, he's not built for it, and he's ducking Jokic yet again. And let's say in some hypothetical alternate universe, where down is up is down, Philly somehow actually makes the NBA Finals, and they're playing Denver. How hilarious would it be if Embiid only played 3 games in that series, all in Philadelphia? Unlike a pitcher in baseball, sat out the 4 games in Denver. At this point, honestly, it wouldn't shock me. And I think it's pretty obvious to everyone at this point, Embiid's just one of those guys. Can't handle the pressure, the altitude, Nikola Jokic, or the burden of being a 2-time MVP. So, as always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.